don't let me stop you. You're fine. I'm just shooting a video. Yeah, there you go. Hey everybody, it's Bill from Matt-Trakker.com, and for this episode Behind the Mask, we're not going to watch my cat Iris clean herself for 20 minutes. We're going to dive into Season 3. Yeah. Decided to use the calendar year as my breaking point, start and stop. So if you are watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you're on Facebook, like and share. And let's keep this going. I appreciate all the feedback that I'm getting from posts and emails, and let me know if you have any episodes that you'd like to see. Now, I hope you had a good holiday. I did. I spent time with my family, took some time off from work, and I saw a terrific movie, Aquaman. For those of you who have followed me over the years, you know that I'm a huge Batman and DC Comics fan. Right now I'm wearing a Batman hoodie. And this movie was terrific, and it kind of gave DC Comics and Warner Brothers kind of like a second chance almost for their movie universe with this movie. Nobody really liked Justice League that much. I did, but got fans and critics up in arms. Same thing with Batman vs Superman. I mean, obviously Wonder Woman was great, but it just, it got away from that dark atmosphere. I like both angles, but that's just me. And it got me thinking that everybody deserves a second chance. Specifically Scott and T-Bob. I've been hard on them over the years, and it's time for me to give them a second chance to show that they're not annoying and in the way. So let's take a look at some of their adventures with the M.A.S.K team to help solidify that. Let's start with episode 1, the Death Stone.
Oh no! Hang on, Scott. Old Dusty's coming. Yee-haw! Hit him with the electric ouch!
Alright, well, perhaps that wasn't the best example. I mean, God, I didn't even show it when Hondo saved them and almost died. Let's look at another clip. I'm really committed to this. I'm committed to the second chance. Nope. It's not happening. I'm sorry, guys. I tried. They're just too damn annoying. Are they the most annoying? No. And it got me thinking, who are the most annoying cartoon characters, in my opinion? I put together a top 10 list for you. I hope you can agree with some of my decisions, and I hope that none of these characters are your favorites. We'll start with number 10, start with a theme of the show, and see if you can guess what angle I'm going toward. Some might be obvious, some might surprise you. G.I. Joe, American hero. G.I. Joe is there. It's G.I. Joe. Now, I can kind of guess what you're thinking. how can I find anything annoying about G.I. Joe? I mean, number one, that theme song literally should be America's new national anthem. It's one of the best ever made. Many of you know G.I. Joe started as a Barbie-sized figure, and as sales dwindled, they came out with the ones that became highly collectible. And like any other cartoon show of the 80s, they needed a toy line and cartoon to kind of coincide with each other to help with sales and boost exposure. G.I. Joe had some of the most charismatic and courageous leaders in Hawk and Duke. But then Cobra gets Cobra Commander. Now, I'll give him credit where credit is due. Some of his schemes were clever, but his voice...
Stop surrendering and listen to me!
It was just too much for me. I mean, he kind of reminds me of Miles Mayhem, except Miles is ruthless and cunning. He's just Miles Mayhem with an annoying voice, right? If he didn't have that voice, he wouldn't even be anywhere near this list. Couple of two with the fact that he complains a lot. Puts him at number 10 for me.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles! Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles! Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles! Heroes in a half shell! Turtle power!
Saki, come back here! Twice those turtles defeated you, Saki. I hope you fail again. And again. And keep failing. Until at last you have no choice but to give me a body.
Damn, dude. Talk about a motivational speech, right? Now, I'm not going to go into too much with this one because Krang and Shredder could kind of go hand in hand in this aspect. Shredder, who, interestingly enough, was played by Uncle Phil, James Avery from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. If you didn't know that, now you do. He complained about wanting to take over the world, kind of whined about it. But Krang was the quote-unquote brains of everything. And all he did was berate Shredder and cry about wanting a body build. It kind of makes you feel bad for the Shredder. He's in an abusive relationship and just getting beaten down mentally. But yeah, it was odd. It was an odd pairing. It was an odd couple. So yeah, for the fact that all he did was nag, he makes my list.
Nice job, hero.
Hey, excuse me, princess.
The Legend of Zelda. Nothing I can say can do that franchise justice. A Link to the Past on Super Nintendo, I would say is probably my favorite video game of all time. And if you remember, we had a couple different cartoon shows come out about Nintendo. We had the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, we had Captain N, and we had The Legend of Zelda. The show was actually really good. It incorporated the music, the sound effects, the characters looked how they should for the most part, but that last line of the opening theme is what everybody remembers about the show. It's a popular meme, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. For such a short run of a show, it holds a pretty pretty big cult following, just because of how annoying Link can be. Now, to be fair, when this came out, all we had were 2 renditions of Link, and they were both 8-bit, and they didn't talk. So they had to kind of come up with something, personality, voice, etc., for Link. The voice acting's fine. It's just all he wants to do is basically get a kiss out of Zelda and complain. That kind of makes him less of a hero in this series, but it just happened way too much. They used that line over and over and over. Not to mention they recycled lines in that show too. So yeah, it's unfortunate. It could have been almost flawless, except for Link's shortcomings. Generation 1 Transformers. It's, for a lot of people, it's the pinnacle of their collection. I collect more than one thing. I do have some Transformers. My favorite was always Grimlock. I have him in my collection, and don't plan on removing it anytime soon. But there was one character that I always found annoying in the show, and that was Starscream. Now, it basically, I always felt like he was like inept. He's always trying to overthrow Megatron, who is a ruthless leader. So I don't know, and seems to know what he's doing, even though it never really succeeded. But why? You try and fail all the time, and like most of the other elements so far on my list, you have an annoying voice. Was it meant to be that way? Was it because of his personality they went with that voice? I don't know. But his ineptitude and he was just terrible at it. Terrible.
Life is like a hurricane in Duckburg.
DuckTales. Now, not only does it have one of the best theme songs ever created, it's one of my favorite shows of all time. Tons of action and adventure, clever writing, treasure hunting. Reminded me a lot of Indiana Jones and a lot of other elements. But there was one part of it that didn't fit, and that was Webby. I don't know why she was in it. They already had Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and they actually had one of the better examples of how to do kids in a show at that time. They were actually helpful. They had the Junior Woodchuck guidebook, who, if you needed any help with anything, that thing had an answer for everything in it. It was the Wikipedia of the 1980s. But Webby lended nothing to the show, in my opinion. She would just be whiny and naggy and kind of slow down the action, I guess. And for one of my favorite shows, I didn't appreciate that. I wish that every show was perfect, but they're not, and that was one of the imperfections of the show. Now, I know that she has a larger role in the new series, but in the old one, even though she wasn't, a main character, anytime she was in it, I wanted to fast forward. I didn't feel like listening to her at all. And it's a shame. It really is.
Mask will be right back, and so will Venom.
Hey everybody, it's Bill from Matt-Trakker.com, and we're going to take a quick break to take a look at our Redbubble store. What is Redbubble? Well, it's a place where artists can upload their content for fans to purchase. T-shirts, sweatshirts, stickers, coffee mugs. Sky's the limit. Let's take a quick look through what we have here, and just to show you. Anything that I create, mask related, I upload to here, and I make it available for purchase for you, the fans. And any of the profits that I get for this go directly to the website. I don't make any money off of this. This is all fan related, and for me, the only profit I get is knowing that you are happy. So take a look, and if you have any questions or requests, send me a message. It's Bill, and I'll talk to you later.
Now watch what M.A.S.K does.
What can I say about Ghostbusters that you don't already know? It's a timeless classic, and we all grew up on it. We got a sequel out of it. It was okay. A reboot that divided the country, men versus women, and we never got Ghostbusters 3. If you kind of want to see Ghostbusters 3, there's a video game that came out a few years ago. Look up the cutscenes. It's really good. All the original voice actors are in it. It's worth a watch. But naturally, with the success of the movie, we got a cartoon and a toy line. The toy line was highly playable, and they're highly collectible today. I have my firehouse up here and some of the figures. But some of it was a little odd with it. Proportions were definitely not right. Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is as tall as, regular character, and Slimer's as big as Stay Puft. Didn't make any sense. And speaking of Slimer, he wasn't really that prominent in the movies, but yet he was made a main character in the cartoon. It could have worked. It would have been interesting to have a ghost helping capture other ghosts, but it didn't really happen that way. It just kind of made Slimer into a... You couldn't even understand what he was saying, really. It was mostly gibberish, and he would always get into trouble. He would try, but it just wouldn't work. And believe it or not, he got his own show out of that. I don't know what test market they were in, but that was a poor job of planning. It could have been so much better.
Where are you? We got some work to do now.
Now, Scooby-Doo is still around today, so obviously they've done something right. But they did make one mistake through the years, and they were trying to save the initial run of the show, which started in 1969, I believe. And as it started to decline in ratings, they added in Scooby's nephew, Scrappy-Doo. For a lot of people, this is their most hated. For me, it's not, just because, I watched Scooby-Doo, but it wasn't one of my favorite shows. The writing was always clever, and Hanna-Barbera had a knack for storytelling and creating very catchy theme songs. But adding Scrappy, well, let's just say he had some problems.
Yeah! Oh no! Scrappy!
Now, there's a time to fight and there's a time to run. Scrappy, I guess you can admire his courage, but he would never think and just throw himself into danger. He'd have two awful catchphrases and I think some anger management issues. I can't help but think of Poochie from The Simpsons. When Itchy and Scratchy was losing ratings, they added a character that was terrible.
Hi, Poochie. You look like you've got something to say. Do you?
Yes, I certainly do. I have to go now. My planet needs me.
Wow, Poochie came from another planet? I guess.
Now, Hanna-Barbera did eventually learn to keep Scrappy out of their shows. He didn't really appear much over the years, so they kind of understood the fan backlash based off the fact that he's the exact opposite of what Mr. Inc. stood for. You know, couple that with his attitude, his foolishness, just didn't work. Full disclosure, I was never really into Thundercats when I was a kid. It doesn't mean I don't understand its importance in, cartoon history. It had all the elements that I would like. It had really catchy music. It had memorable characters, really great animation. Just never stuck with me. Don't really know why. I don't collect them today. I do have Lion-O and Mumra, but that's all I have. But, well, a lot of these characters don't fit. It's just a sad truth. And you can make the argument that Snarf is that ultimate character. One of them, at least. Now, one of the popular misconceptions of Snarf is that all you could do is say his name, kind of similar to Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy. All you can say is "I am Groot." People just think that Snarf would only, say Snarf, Snarf, but that's not true. He did have other speaking lines, but there were not many. But my God. Picture scene from Jaws when Quint scratches the chalkboard, right? And it combined that with the most annoying sound in the world from Dumb and Dumber. And you have Snarf. The voice delivery is awful. I don't know what they were going for. It just never made sense as a character. It could talk sometimes, as I said. It would always say its name. I never got that. And like most of these characters, he kind of got in the way. He would try to help, but it didn't really work out the way it would, hope for. So, yeah, it's not pretty. Not pretty at all.
And the Masters of the Universe!
Now, if there's a character out there that can rival my disdain for Scott and T-Bob, it's the floating wizard from Masters of the Universe, Orko. A fun fact, back in my old house, when we first got our puppy Bauer, my Masters line was on the bottom shelf because Castle Grayskull was so big to display, just kind of figures going around it. So he had free range to attack anything he wanted. But he decided to attack Orko. He never even watched the cartoon, but he knew how terrible he was. He's a wizard, and he was useless. He pretty much did parlor tricks and did nothing but annoy Man-at-Arms. I wish that he was a little bit more powerful, a little bit more useful, but he wasn't. Always in the way, always talking. And why was he one of the people that knew Prince Adam's secret? He's He-Man. It's a very ill-constructed list. If he would just do something meaningful once, it would change people's perspective of him. But you know, you remember a few things about that. You remember He-Man, saying, "I have the power." You remember Skeletor's laugh, and you just remember how useless Orko was. It's hard to imagine that there's something worse, but there is. So, X-Men. And when you think of that, you think of Wolverine, Cyclops, Rogue, Storm, Gambit. You think of that awesome theme song. But then you watch the cartoon, and then you're immersed in the nonstop action. But then you throw basically a monkey wrench in everything with the character Jubilee. Remember that episode of Family Guy where they got superpowers and Meg just had her nails grow a little bit? That's the equivalent of Jubilee. I guess they wanted to kind of appeal to a younger crowd, but you didn't need to. You already had the characters, male and female, so it didn't, there wasn't gender issues there. But you put in a teenager with fireworks for powers that does nothing but get in the way. It makes you wish that in the opening episodes that it was her that was captured, not Morph. But it didn't work out that way. I've tried to rewatch the series, but my genuine hatred toward Jubilee as a character, it keeps me from watching it, which is a shame. I don't understand the pick. There's literally hundreds of characters they could have chosen from. It was a popular show, and it still is. It still has its following, but for me, I can never go back to it. Unless somebody goes through every episode and cuts all the scenes with her in it. That's the only way I'll be able to watch it. I don't know. That's my top 10. Let me know if you agree with them. Obviously, everything's open for debate. You can like it, you can hate it, but that's top 10 most annoying characters, cartoon history, based on my opinion. This is Bill from Matt-Trakker.com, and I will talk to you later.